Hi, I'm Mark Heath from Recover Hyperbarics, and today I'm going to walk through a guided hyperbaric oxygen therapy session. So Andy, who's quite experienced with hyperbarics already, is going to sit in and do the demos. Typically what we do before any session is we would carry out a fit for hyperbarics assessment. This comprises of a questionnaire, and just to make sure that the client is not claustrophobic and comfortable getting inside the chamber. So the first process is, because hyperbaric therapy is usually quite new to people, is to walk around and talk through the equipment. So we'd go through, we'd explain about the compressor. There are other videos that you can see on our channel which explain the equipment in much more detail. Then we would explain about the oxygen concentrator and the features within the chamber. A few features that are really key to talk about to the client is inside of the chamber, there's an emergency release button. This just gives them comfort that if they do run into any problems inside the chamber, they can very, very quickly release the air and get out quite safely. Also, having the pressure gauges and the controls on the outside of the chamber, just so I've got full control of the session, but they're also on the inside of the chamber. So Andy's got the comforts of being able to see the pressure and also manage the pressure himself. In terms of starting the session, what we typically do is we put the machines on as the client comes in the room. So that's the oxygen concentrator going on. Then we will switch the compressor on. And then we'll invite the customer to get in the chamber. Very important before we do this, that the customer's got no sharp objects, either on themselves, on the pocket, jewellery which could be sharp, or shoes on as well. So we always make sure the customer takes the shoes off. Once they've done that, they'll hop inside the chamber. Now again, the chambers are different sizes and customers do have different types of mobility. So this is somewhere where you may have to give them a lot more assistance, or like Andy, who's fit and healthy, is able to just get straight in. So that is something that you do need to consider, is the mobility of the person that's getting inside of the chamber. Once that's complete, what we do is we zip it up. So because this is a supervised session, I'm actually going to zip it up, but if Andy wanted to, he'd be able to zip it up from the inside of the chamber. So what I'll do is I'll take the inner zip, I will close it. Very important with the inner zip that it's located right at the top. Once that's done, we take this grey rubber seal. The rubber seal then has to sit flat in between the inside zip and the outside zip. Again, this is what seals the chamber, so it's really important that we get this stage right. Once that's complete, I will zip the outside zip up, and the chamber is starting to pressurize now. So Andy is quite experienced, he's had a number of sessions, but usually within the first session, one of the things that users can experience is sensations in their ears, and this can be very mild, like taking off in a plane. It can also lead to some pain. So what we'd also always suggest for a first session is to stay with the customer, keep talking to them, and that way it allows you to manage the pressurization time. So if I was to leave the valve closed, this particular model would pressurize in about 5 to 6 minutes. It would reach full pressure, and that will be fine for most people, but some people will need to have it slowed down. So you have full control over the speed of pressurization by using this control knob here. So again, very, very key, especially for the first session. Maintain constant communication with the client. You can see them through the window. Are you all right in there, Andy? Get a thumbs up. So again, with Andy, he's not feeling anything in his ears at the moment, so I'll let the pressurization run its course. I'll wait here until we are at full pressure, and I'll just keep constant communication, making sure that he's comfortable during the session. Very, very important that anybody's first hyperbaric session is good, and a good, comfortable session for them. This should take now around 4 or 5 minutes to reach pressure. Still okay in there, Andy? Yeah, all good? Once a customer is a lot more used to the therapy, another thing that you can do, which what we do here, is we have a call button. The call button links directly to our reception and offices. So once they're at pressure, you can go away, you can leave the customer to enjoy the therapy session in peace, and if they have any trouble whatsoever, or if they need assistance, they can call the call button and get you in to help. So again, you can feel now that the chamber is starting to reach its pressure. On the pressure gauge, it's now left 0, so it's slowly starting to pressurize. Again, I'm just going to check in now with Andy. Andy, everything okay? Yeah, perfect. So now we're just about reaching 1.1 ATA. So at 1.1 ATA, that's really when people will start noticing the pressure change within their ears. So it's very, very key to keep the communication going with the client as they get up through the pressure. If they do experience discomfort when you regulate the pressure, so if let's say for instance you were to stop at 1.2 ATA or 20 kPa, you can stop it there, you'd leave it for maybe 5-10 minutes, and usually the pressure within the ear does clear. If not, we'd recommend just to keep it at that pressure, or keep it at the pressure where the user is comfortable, and then reduce it. It's key, again, not to have a cold or any ear or any sinus issues. We really would recommend, if there's any cold, any sinus issues, do not use the chamber. So now we're getting to around halfway. So halfway, I'm just going to check in. Everything okay, Andy? Still okay? We're up and running now with both of the machines. We've got the oxygen generator and the compressor both running. The oxygen generator runs at sub 40 decibels. The air compressor runs at sub 50 decibels. So it's very, very quiet equipment. We're in quite an enclosed space here. We're on the second floor of a building. And again, my voice is carrying, it's not overbearing, and I can keep communication with Andy. So all of the equipment is really low noise. Not just on the outside, but on the inside of the chamber as well. We have got compressed air feeding directly into this chamber. What we put on the inside is a silencer and an air diffuser. So in the inside, it's very similar for Andy. Andy's able to watch videos on his phone. You can hear the phone without headphones. So it just makes it for a much more comfortable therapy experience. Okay, so we're just coming up to pressure now. We're almost at 40 kPa, which is the equivalent to 1.4 ATA. As soon as we reach pressure, what we'll notice is both of the safety valves on the front of the chamber will open and start to release air. So that's going to happen in around 5 seconds or a bit quicker. There we go. So we've got both of those valves which are open now. What that means is the air is going through the compressor. The chamber is holding the pressure at 1.4 ATA by releasing that air. And what that means is it's a much more comfortable therapy experience because the air is flowing through, so Andy's not sitting in there with stagnant air. On top of that, because we've got a constant flow of air, we've not got a high build-up of oxygen. So the oxygen concentrator is delivering the oxygen directly to a mask, which Andy is wearing, and then any excess oxygen is being vented out through these valves. And that is just a huge safety feature. Having a compressed gas, such as oxygen, it is not particularly safe in your home. So now we have finished our 60-minute session. Andy has done absolutely fantastic, had no issues whatsoever. I am now going to start the depressurization. So again, first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to speak to Andy, make sure he's comfortable, and tell him that I'm going to change the pressurization, start the depressurization sequence. And the reason for that really is, again, similar to the pressurization. With the depressurization, you can just get a change in the pressure within your ears. So it's always important to let the client know that they could expect that. So Andy, still everything okay? Yep. I'm going to start the depressurization now. We'll go really slow. So the depressurization will be over around 5 minutes. Again, any problems with your ears, anything else, just make sure you give me a shout and let me know. So typically what we do with the depressurization, especially people within the first few sessions, we take it very slow. So we would always recommend for anybody at least 5 minutes, but with the first few sessions, this could go over 5 or 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the valve. On the front of the control knob, you'll notice there's 5 visual indicators. And the way that we do it is we'll just open it by one of the indicators to start off with, and that will start releasing the pressure. I will then stay with Andy. I'll keep an eye on the pressure gauge. As the pressure is dropping, I will gradually I'll gradually open the knob, the control knob, to release more air out. And again, what I'm aiming for is to time the depressurization for at least 5 minutes, depending on how the user's reacting, possibly 10 minutes. So again, extremely important during all sessions that the zip, nobody opens the zip until that pressure is at 0. If you do open the zip while it's pressurized, there's a very high chance that you'll damage the chamber. So it's important to wait until that rests on 0, as it is now, and you'll actually feel the change in the chamber. It goes extremely hard when it's pressurized, and then when the pressure comes off, you can see I can push onto the chamber slightly. So now what I'll do, I'll open it up. So again, we're starting with the outside zip. You can see a slight pressure release there. That's completely normal. I'll then reach in and take the inside zip. Again, because, again, what I said earlier about people having mobility issues, I would always open it, and if they need to, give them a hand out of the chamber. Okay. And that's how to deliver a supervised hyperbaric session.